Hey my friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. My name's Melissa. Today's video is the last video of 2024. So today I am bringing you my favorite top 5 crafts that I did this year. It's an exciting video because it's also a collaboration hosted by Lady Red Crafting as well as Our Gray House. This collaboration will also consist of a playlist. The playlist as well as a link to our hosts will be in the description box. So when you're finished here, make sure you go check it out. So buckle up because I can't wait to show you what my 5 favorite crafts were that I did this year. This is a little cabinet that I thrifted from Goodwill for about $4, but I'm going to use it like this. I'm going to remove these pegs, clean it up real good, take the little hangers off, and then fill in the little splits between the wood planks. And then I'm going to give it a good paint job and make this into a little piece of furniture or a little storage cabinet that you could use on a countertop, in your bathroom, in a kitchen, or in a bedroom. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I need to do is remove the hangers from the back. Then I'm going to take the pegs off by removing the screws from what was the top, or actually the bottom. Then I'm going to fill in with the wood glue, fill in the cracks with the wood glue, and let it dry overnight. Now I'm going to use this mold that I got from Temu, and I'm going to use air dry clay to make a little piece to put at the top, what will now be the top of the cabinet, just to kind of dress it up a little bit. So I'm using some wood glue to attach it to the top, and then I'm going to use this stamp to indent into the air dry clay. So I'm just using the stamp. I'm going to press it into the air dry clay just to make the indentation. Now for the new bottom of the cabinet, I'm going to use these little balls that I got from Hobby Lobby, and they have one flat side. So I'm just going to use wood glue and a little dollop of hot glue to put them onto the bottom, and that is going to make feet for the cabinet. Now I've taped everything off, and I'm going to use this chalk paint, and it is Waverly chalk paint in the color moss. And I'm going to give the cabinet a coat of chalk paint. And because the cabinet is already green, it really only takes one coat of the paint. Now, if there were any areas that I felt like needed a little bit more coverage, like around the places where I used the wood filler or the mold, then I just used a little bit more paint. Now I'm using a little bit of watered down Waverly chalk paint in the antique wax just to kind of get that those little wood balls to kind of match the colors of the natural wood of the doors. I'm not using that much. Then I'm going to sand around the edges just to distress it a little bit, just to give it a little bit of age. Then I'm going to go over the whole piece with some clear wax, the Waverly clear wax, and I'm giving it a really good coat of that clear wax because this cabinet was really old, so it was very dry. Once I go over it with the clear wax, I don't wipe any back because it was very dry, and I do want to be able to control the amount of antique wax that I use. I go around the edges and around that mold with a little bit of the antique wax just to give it a little bit more of the age look. And I do make sure I go over that clear wood on the doors with that clear wax, and this project is finished. I think it's so pretty, and I love the way it looks as a cabinet. I love finding old frames at the thrift store and turning them into decor that matches my home. Now I'm using 2 different colors of chalk paint. This is the moss color, and I'm also using the celery. Now the reason I'm doing this is because I didn't have a lot of the celery left, and I really wanted it to be kind of a medium green. So I just mixed the 2, and I gave this frame a coat of the green color. So it's sort of kind of a medium. It's a little bit lighter than that moss, but it's darker than the celery. And I gave it 2 coats. Now I found this piece of printed script online. I Googled, antique script, and I printed it out, and I'm cutting it around the piece of cardboard that went in the frame, and I'm just going to cut it out the same size as the cardboard. Now I'm going to Mod Podge that paper to the cardboard using Mod Podge and the sponge. Once the Mod Podge is on there, I put the paper on there, let it dry, and once it's dry, I'm going to use this beautiful set of hydrangea transfers that I got from Amazon, and this is a Redesign with Prima set. I will put a link to this set in the description box. All of these are so beautiful, and I used all of them in various projects, and the one that I'm going to use this time is this really pretty purple one. So I'm going to cut it out and then get this transferred onto the cardboard print. If you've never used rub-on transfers before, you just take off the back paper, and then you set the transfer where you want it on your project. Once I get it set, I like to rub over it with my hand just to kind of get it set into place really good. And each transfer set comes with a stick. You use that stick to rub the transfer onto your project. When you rub it on, you start lifting away the plastic vellum, and as you're lifting it away, if you see that any of the transfer is not transferred on, you just lay the vellum back down, you go over it again with the stick and rub over it again, and it transfers right off, and you can start lifting away again. Once your transfer is completely transferred onto your project, then you can go over the whole piece with that vellum. You rub it really good with the vellum, and it just makes sure that the transfer is set into place. Finally, I'm going to go over the frame with some clear antique wax by Waverly, and then once I've gone over it, I wipe off any excess, and then I can put everything back together, and this project was finished. And I think that this is just such a pretty piece. It's just a perfect example of how you can have beautiful home decor and you can have it on a budget. This is a wood plank piece that I had in my stash, and then I also had these 3 little hooks that look like water faucets. I'm going to use this Waverly chalk paint in the color Ivory, and I'm dry brushing the paint on there. I didn't want full coverage because I wanted this to look like old kind of barn planks, or whatever you want to call it. But I painted the surface of the planks or the wood, and then I'm going to decide how I want this to be configured, because I'm going to put those hooks on there and I'm going to make this into a patio sign. And since I have 3 of the hooks and I have 3 of those little planks that are longer, I wanted the planks to be on the bottom. This is a little stencil that I got. I think I got these from Hobby Lobby. It came in a set of, I don't know, maybe 8. So I'm going to use this one. I'm going to do the green leaves that are on each side in the color moss in the Waverly paint. And then the lettering I'm going to do in the Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. And I have it taped down with chalk paint, and I'm going to use the little dauber, the little sponge dauber. You can get these. I think I might have gotten these at Walmart, but you can get them at Dollar Tree, I think, too. And I'm just using light coats of the paint to kind of daub the paint onto the stencil. And I'm not doing heavy coats. I've learned that it's best to do light coats when you're doing stenciling. So once I get all of this done, I just take the stencil up. All right, now that the stencils are done, I'm going to figure out where I want my hooks to be, and I mark where the screws are going to have to be with a pen. And for some reason, I didn't get it on camera, but once I have where all the screws are going to be, I screwed the hooks into place with the screwdriver, and I don't have the power tool in, I'm not comfortable with power tools yet, so I did it with a manual screwdriver, but I set the hooks into place, and this project was done. This was a super easy project, but I think it turned out so cute. You'll have to let me know what you think. This actually sold pretty quickly when I put it in my booth. I have 3 books that I'm going to make a book stack with, and I'm going to use 3 different colors of green. This first one is Country Chic, and it is in the color Secret Garden. The second color is going to be this Waverly chalk paint in the color Moss, and the third color is going to be a mix of the Waverly chalk paint, Ivory, and Moss, because I needed a lighter green. But basically all you do is you just paint the sides and the spine with each color of paint, and I'm using my little heat gun to get it to dry faster. But since I'm going to paint, or since I'm going to stack them, I'm not going to paint the entire second side of each book, and I also have to paint the inner rim just because you can kind of see it when they're stacked. But this is going to be the bottom book, so I only painted one side fully, and I just still have to paint the other rim. But the second color is the Moss, and on this one, this is going to be the middle book, so I don't have to paint each side fully. I'm just kind of painting around the edges and the spine, and then of course I'm going to paint the inside of it. And then for the third color, this is the color that I came up with, that I mixed the Moss and the Ivory together. This is going to be the top book, so I definitely have to get one side painted fully, and then the other book is just painted around the edges and around the inside rim. Once all of that is dry, then I'm going to stack them together using hot glue. I am going to tie them off in the end, but just for, purposes of getting them situated while I finish working on it, I wanted to make sure I get it hot glued together, and it just adds to the stability of the stack. So I get those all put together and let that hot glue dry. Once that's done, I'm going to paint some words or stamp some words onto the sides of the books. This is the clear stamp set that I got from Dollar Tree, and I don't have an ink pad, so I'm just using Waverly's black chalk paint in the color ink, and I am going to stamp each letter individually onto the books. And the words that I'm going to use says, "Enjoy the journey." Once I get that done, I'm going to use this new IOD, new to me, and it is called Lover of Flowers, and I'm going to use one of the rub-on transfers from it. I don't have a link to it because I actually bought it in a store. I'll see if I can find a link to it, but I'm going to use this really pretty rose on the top, and I'm actually going to let some of the leaves come over the edge just a little bit. And I started with transferring the leaves first over the edge. I probably should have left that till last. It might have been easier, but it was still very easy. Even with doing it on books, you just use the little stick to rub the transfer onto your project piece, and it is just so super easy to do. And you can see how easy it just comes up once you rub it really good. The bigger the picture is, or the bigger the image is, the easier it is to transfer. So this really took no time at all to get all the way off. And then once you finish transferring, you just use that little piece of vellum to burnish it onto the project just to make it more secure. And then the name of the flower was with it, so I decided to put that up the top of the book. And again, with the script, I made sure I rubbed it really good before I took it off. Now, once everything is on there, I've got it all on, so now I'm going to cover it with some clear wax and wipe off the excess, because you guessed it, I'm going to then go over it with my little sponge with some antique wax. I'm going to give this a good coat of the antique wax around the edges, make this look very vintagey. I just love the way that this looks on these books with that flower. I just think it's so pretty. And then once I have finished doing that, I'm going to wrap the 3 books together with some twine, and I'm just going to wrap the string around 2 or 3 times and then tie it in a knot. And then I'm going to take some more twine and just kind of wrap it around my fingers loosely and make sort of a bow. And after I have, wrapped it around, taken it off my fingers, then I'm going to tie it all together with the rest of the string that was used to wrap around the books. And that's going to sort of make my little bow. And this is just another one of those projects that you can find stuff around your house. If you have books that you were thinking about giving away or throwing away, why don't you just do something like this, make them over, and make it match the decor of your house. I think these turned out so pretty, and I'm going to put them in my booth, and I know they are going to sell pretty quickly. At least I hope they do. This is a little jar that I thrifted, and I thrifted it mainly because I love the little pull on the top. But I'm going to use the Waverly chalk paint in the color Snow White. I'm giving this 2 coats of the paint, and on the second coat, I'm going to make sure I use a pouncing motion so that I don't have any brush strokes. Now that I have painted it, I'm going to use this set of transfers, and this is a set by Redesign with Prima that I got from Amazon, and I'm going to use this one right here. So I took out the center part because I didn't want to use it because I'm going to do something a little different, but you just transfer it by placing it where you want it on your project, and you use this little stick to rub the transfer really good onto your project, and you start peeling away that top clear sheet. And once you do that, then you go over it with that vellum to burnish it in. This is a mold that I got from Temu, and so I'm going to use this small little oval mold to put in the center of that blue design. So I'm putting some cornstarch in it to keep the the mold or keep the clay from sticking, make it easier to come out. So I just have that clay in there and I'm pressing around the edges just to get that shape real good. And once I get all of that peeled away or broken away, then you just take the mold, the silicone mold, and it just kind of starts falling out. You just want to be real careful. To attach it to the jar, I am using some E6000, but I have since, this was probably my first time to use the air dry clay, but I've since learned that you can also use wood glue and it's a lot easier. Now I'm just going to go over it with a small little paintbrush in that same Snow White color by Waverly. And after that dries, I'm going to take 2 butterflies from that same transfer set and put those in the center of that little frame. And once that is done, then I'm going to go over it with a clear wax. I think it turned out really good. It was my first time, so I'm kind of pleased that, you know, it came out like it did. But I'm using this clear wax by Waverly, and I'm going to go over it with that first. Once I get all of the clear wax brushed on and real good around that frame part, all those little details, then I'm going to take a shop towel and wipe back the excess. And now I'm going to give it a more aged and vintagey look by using the Waverly Antique Wax. And I am going to put I'm going to really focus around the frame area mainly, but I want it all to look a little aged. So once I get it around the frame and I start wiping it back, then I just kind of start playing with it and adding more if I want a little more in some areas, and then using clear wax. If I see I've got too much in one area, then I just use some clear wax and just wipe it away. But I just do this until I kind of get the look that I'm going for. I'm going to use this Gold Rush metallic luster, kind of like a rub and buff, I guess. But I just want to kind of get around that frame just a little bit, just to bring some of that gold that's in the knob kind of down here on this piece too. And it's not perfect. I didn't want it to be perfect because I feel like it has that vintagey aged look, so it's not going to be perfect if it were truly vintage. Now all that's left is to reattach the pull to the top of the lid, and this project is finished. I think this jar turned out so pretty. I just think it looks so elegant and very French provincial. You'll have to let me know what you think in the comments. Before we end the video, I do want to share a Bible verse with you, and this Bible verse comes from 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, this person is a new creation. The old things are passed away. Behold, new things have come. I hope this verse is a blessing to you. I would like to thank Lady Red Crafting and Our Gray House for hosting this collaboration, this last collaboration of 2024. Make sure to check out their channels and don't forget to check out the playlist. Watch all the videos. The link is in the description box. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing to my channel if you like this sort of content. And I would love to wish everyone a wonderful holiday season and a happy new year if I don't see you before then. And if you want to see more content like this, then check out the boxes you see on the screen right now, and I'll see you next time. Bye.